On October 5th, 2015, a 911 call came into dispatch from a woman named Anne-Marie Anistasi. She claims that she came home to find her husband unresponsive and not breathing. But police were completely shocked when they showed up to the house and they discovered that her husband Anthony had been shot once in the head and his live-in mistress was stabbed to death in the basement. Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sydney Morgan. If you're new here, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, you subscribe, and leave me a comment below telling me what you think, or just say hi. Before I get started, I'm going to go ahead in this video as well and tell you that I'm going to try my hardest not to victim shame, because I don't believe that their living situation was good. I wouldn't do it. There's no way in hell that my husband's having a mistress. So Anne-Marie met her husband. His name was Anthony Anistasi. They met in their home state of Maryland. At the end of this, they would end up being married for 18 years. They had 5 children together. The couple and their 5 children decided that they were going to move to Michigan for, I'm pretty sure it was work opportunities for Anthony. But while they were in Michigan, Anthony met a younger woman, and her name was Jacqueline Riggs. The two began a sexual relationship. Now, Anne-Marie was not okay with this, but she kind of pretended like she was okay with it because she didn't want to lose her husband. Anthony had gotten injured, and this injury made it so that Anthony was not able to work. So after a while, the couple and their 5 children decided that they were going to move back home to Maryland. And Anne-Marie was super stoked. She's like, okay, we're leaving. His mistress is going to be here. We're going to go there, and the affair is going to end, right? Nope. In 2015, Anthony informed his wife, Anne-Marie, that his mistress from back in Michigan would be moving into their home, and she would be living in the basement. And this is where I get very judgy, because there's no way in hell. No way in hell. If my husband had an affair and after a while we decided that we could work things out and move on, that's a possibility. But to have your mistress move in with you and to continue that affair and act like things are fine, not a chance in hell. Ain't gonna happen. No. No. But because of the fact that Anne-Marie didn't want to lose her husband and have her marriage crumble, she decided that she was going to let Jacqueline move into the basement and that they were going to try to coexist in this home with all 5 kids. Like, it's a weird dynamic. Apparently, it was reported that the 5 children even called Jacqueline Aunt Jackie in desperate attempts to try to keep her husband happy, and decided that she was going to try to get involved with the couple sexually. So they decided to try out having a threesome. And Anne-Marie did not like this. She was extremely uncomfortable, unhappy, and she hated seeing her husband having sex with another woman, which is completely understandable. I would not be able to sit there and watch my husband be intimate with another woman and just act like it's fine. So she was pissed. She decided that she didn't like it and that she no longer was going to attempt to insert herself in that threesome. So she let the affair continue. But after a few months, Anthony pretty much moved into the basement with Jackie. Anne-Marie said that Anthony would spend most nights down in the basement with Jackie, and the basement door would be locked, so she could not go down there. So because Anthony wasn't able to have a job because of his past injury, it was up to Anne-Marie to do everything. Pay the bills, take care of all 5 children, plus her husband and his mistress. I still don't get it. Oh my God. She kept her cool way longer than what I would have been able to. But Anne-Marie's family was actually quite well off financially. She had a $1 million trust that Anthony spent every dollar of. And once that $1 million trust was gone, Anthony said, hey, go back to your family and try to get more money. So she did, being a nice wife. She went and she got more money from her family, and then Anthony spent all of that too. One of their children was a 13-year-old girl named Sarah. And Sarah was dating an 18-year-old named Gabriel Strauss. So keep that in mind when we go on with the story. Which is kind of weird too. Like 18 and 13, that's kind of a big age gap. Yeah, that's kind of odd. So on the morning of October 5th, which was the day of the murders, Anne Marie claims that she took all 4 of her children to school, but her 13-year-old daughter stayed home from school because she claimed that she was sick. She says that she went out and she went grocery shopping, and then she planned on coming home, picking up her husband because he had his own doctor's appointment that he had to go to. But instead, she claims that when she arrived home, she found her husband not breathing and unresponsive in his bed. But she says she didn't turn on the lights. She didn't look to see if he was alive. She was just kept saying, he's not breathing, he's unresponsive on the 911 phone call. Police arrive, and then Anne tells the police that her husband is dead and that he's lying on his bed in their bedroom. And police would report that Anne Marie was super calm. And if you've heard the 911 call, she's pretty freaking calm for thinking that her husband is dead. She's very calm. But police kind of found that a little suspicious. They think that when you find your husband dead, you should be maybe panicked, maybe upset, maybe crying, something. Anne Marie was like cool, calm, and collected. So they definitely took note of that. Now, when they went into Anthony and Anne Marie's bedroom, they found Anthony lying on his back on the bed with a single gunshot wound to the head. And next to him was a .45 caliber pistol that Anne Marie claims he kept underneath of his pillow every single night. Police are looking at him laying there next to a gun, and they're thinking possible suicide, right? Well, when police looked a little closer into it, his body, like looked at his body, his gunshot wound, they said that it was weird that they didn't see any stippling from the gunshot, which is unusual because generally when somebody commits suicide or they're shot at point blank range, the skin around the wound will have like a stippling burn from the gunshot residue when it makes contact with the skin. But Anthony didn't have this. So they're thinking suicide. Once they realize there's no stippling, they realize it's very unlikely that he shot himself in the head from a distance. Typically it's up closer to the head. So police almost immediately came to the conclusion that they did not think suicide. They're thinking this looks like a possible murder, and that it looked like it was staged to look like a suicide. So police stop everything right there and they ask Anne Marie, is there anybody else in the house? We need to find who could have done this. And she calmly tells the police that her husband's mistress, Jackie, lives in the basement. Police go down to the basement after they clear the house. They have Anne Marie and her 13-year-old daughter, Sarah, go outside, and they are actually taken to the police station for questioning. They go to the basement and they find a horrific scene, a very bloody scene. They find Jackie's body lying lifeless on the ground with 42 stab wounds. They weren't all just stab wounds. Some of them were slash wounds. This looked like a crime of passion. There was blood everywhere. Based on the scene, they said that this poor girl put up a hell of a fight for whoever stabbed her to death. While at the police station, the police are asking Anne Marie what she believes could have happened. And Anne says, well, they did get into an argument last night, so maybe Anthony killed her, went upstairs, and killed himself. Which seems like it could be plausible by the way that it looks at the crime scene. And again, police are looking at her going, why are you so calm? Not out loud, but they're thinking in their heads. They're like, she's so calm. She's so collected. What is going on? Because of her being so calm, they decide to do a gunshot residue test on Anne Marie's hands to see if within the last few hours she had shot a gun. possibly the murder weapon. Anthony and Jackie's bodies were taken to the medical examiner's office to get autopsied. And while that was going on, they had Anne Marie and the daughter Sarah, who, by the way, Sarah was like freaking out, acting like how a person probably should when they find out what happened at their home that day. Police are at the house and they're checking everything that they can, trying to find more evidence of what exactly happened on October 5th. In the room that Anthony was found dead in, they found one shell casing. This shell casing was from a .38 caliber pistol. But the gun that was on the bed, believed to be the one that shot Anthony, was a .45 caliber pistol. So it wasn't matching up. Police knew you can't take a .38 caliber bullet and shoot it from a .45 caliber pistol. Doesn't work like that. Immediately they know Anthony was not killed with the gun that was laying next to his body. There's no way. So that gun was staged. Now police know it was definitely not a suicide. It was definitely a homicide. The GSR test for Anne Marie's hands and clothing came back, and it turned out that Anne Marie did shoot a gun that day. When she was questioned about this, she said, "Oh, that's weird." So, obviously she's not going to admit to shooting any kind of gun. Now that Anne Marie is their top suspect, they decide to go through her phone, see who she was talking to, the things that she was saying, and they find Anne Marie was actually in communication with her daughter Sarah's 18-year-old boyfriend Gabriel. In these text messages, they find that all three of them, Anne Marie, the daughter Sarah, and the daughter's boyfriend Gabriel, were all talking about how they were planning the murder of Anthony and his mistress. So they immediately go get Gabriel and they bring him in, and he cracks instantly. He starts giving the full confession of what happened. And by Gabriel's account, which later things don't really add up too much to me, but in Gabriel's account, this is what he says happened. Gabriel says that the night before the murders, Anne Marie went and picked him up, brought him back to the house, and he hid outside all night. Then in the morning, Anne Marie got up, she got her other 4 children off to school, and she called Gabriel and told him to come into the house. She said, "Go kill Jackie first." Gabriel went down to the basement and he began stabbing Jackie, and Jackie began to fight back. Gabriel overpowered Jackie and he eventually completely caused her death. Then he goes back upstairs and he claims that he grabbed the gun, went in, and from about 6 inches away, shot Anthony in the head and killed him. But here's where it doesn't make any sense to me, because why did Anne Marie have gunshot residue on her hands if Gabriel says he's the one who did it? That's the one part that doesn't really add up to me. I think that while Gabriel was stabbing and murdering Jackie in the basement, I think that Anne Marie went and shot her husband. But that's my opinion. I don't know. I don't think anything's ever really been said about it. So with Gabriel's confession, obviously all 3 of them were arrested. Anne Marie says that she was guilty, but she ended up taking an Alfred plea, which an Alfred plea is, it's admitting, hey, you have some evidence to convict me, but I'm innocent, but I'll take the punishment since you're probably going to convict me anyway. So that's what that is. She was sentenced to 60 years in prison. Gabriel was also sentenced to 60 years in prison. And since Sarah had taken part in the planning of the murder, she stayed home from school. She knew what was going to happen. So they put her in a juvenile facility, and they said that she could be evaluated for release at the age of 21, which was only like 8 years. In the comments, make sure you let me know what you think. I'm going to keep my opinions kind of quiet. I think that Anne Marie put up with it as long as she could. Not saying that she should have went and, had her husband and the mistress killed, but I would probably eventually snap from that too if I put myself in that position, but I never would, so I don't know. I'm not sticking up for her, but it's not nice to have affairs right in front of your wife. I don't know. Like I said, in the comments, let me know what you think about the case. What would you have done if your spouse came home one day and was like, hey, I'm going to have a partner besides you that's not you live in the basement, and that's going to be my thing from now on? Let me know what you think. Would you let that happen? Before we go, I did want to let you guys know that right now in my shop I sell handmade highly scented soy wax melt. They are 5-star rated. I have over 2,200 sales. Right now, for the month of December, I'm running a sale that is 25% off anything in my shop. The link is down below. Make sure you go check it out. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this story. Make sure you come back and chit chat with me and talk about another case. Have a good day. I'll see you guys later.